Hello, my name is Gabe, and welcome to my late night show, Gabe Time. Don't worry, America, I'm just like all the other late night hosts. I'm white, I'm straight, and I really enjoy the movie fever pitch. The only difference between me and the other hosts is that I'm not a millionaire. In fact, I have no money at all. And if you don't believe me, well, I'm a 29-year-old man, and I'm in my parents' basement right now. I can barely move without bumping into one of my old participation trophies. But the question is, who am I? Why are you watching me on your phone right now when there's a 90% chance that you're on the toilet? Well, the truth is, I'm just some guy, and I used to live in Astoria, Queens. It was there that I first began to live my truth as a comedian who exclusively did material about low-calorie snack foods.
If you're unfamiliar with rice cakes, they're just like Rice Krispie treats, except instead of using marshmallows in the recipe, they're terrible. They're good. Every time I had a rice cake, I'd take 2 bites and I'm just like, well, maybe I'll swim with my shirt on. This cannot be worth it.
In 40 years, people will ask, hey, what was comedy like during the Trump administration? And I'll have no choice but to tell them it was about the same. But because I can't do stand-up right now, I'm doing these monthly episodes covering a very specific topic. Today's theme is very important. It's gerrymandering and the impact of voter suppression on rural townships south of the Mason-Dixon line. Just kidding. Do I look like fucking John Oliver to you? I don't have writers and researchers, okay? It's just me and my camera guy from high school marching band, GC Football number 1. So instead, our first episode is going to be about something that I'm actually qualified to talk about. Feeling sad during the pandemic. And I know, I get it. We're all sad. Right now, everyone kind of looks like hungover Ben Affleck. Let's hope once we're vaccinated, it feels a little bit more like moving in with Anna de Armas. Listen, I know they broke up, okay? Nothing gold can stay. But Anna, check your DMs. But even with the vaccine starting to come out, the world is still burning. 500,000 Americans are dead. And yet, if I'm being honest, day to day, moment to moment, I'm mostly just sad about my own life, which feels kind of selfish. Which is why I've diagnosed myself with SIPS. Self-Important Pandemic Sadness. SIPS. And yes, I do realize that sounds like one of those warnings in a drug commercial, where they're like, side effects may include diarrhea, an erection lasting more than 4 hours, and SIPS. But the reason I'm calling my sadness self-important is because it is. The 2 things I'm sad about are pretty lame. They're 1, losing my independence by moving home, and 2, not being able to do comedy. And listen, pretty self-indulgent, right? Privileged, annoying, out of touch. I get it. My brain is like my own YouTube comment section where they're like, hey, you look like Seth Rogen if he peaked in high school. And I'm just like, guilty. But hear me out. I don't want your sympathy. But let's take a moment to break down the symptoms of my SIPS diagnosis. We'll start with moving back in with my parents. A year ago in March, when the pandemic hit New York City, I knew right away that I just couldn't stay because my apartment was just never meant to be lived in. My room was so small that my bed touched 3 walls. Do you understand? When your bed touches 3 walls, you don't have a bedroom. You have a room bed, which is a room that's made out of bed. Basically, I was surrounded by 3 sides in 90-degree heat in a little sadness peninsula, otherwise known as Florida. Honestly, being surrounded by 3 walls is one of the main reasons I hated Trump so much. He was like, we're going to build a wall. And I was like, I don't think we have room for another one. But last March, with 2 months left on my lease and the scariest public health crisis of my lifetime, I moved back in with Mom and Dad. And the truth is, financially and emotionally, I didn't have much of a choice. Nothing was open. Remember? Trying to get a hold of toilet paper was like asking for a rock hammer in Shawshank Prison. You needed to have a guy. So, like most people who have ever hosted an open mic, I moved back in with my parents. They live on Long Island, just like Billy Joel. That picture might look like a big deal, but I promise, he comes to every Long Island high school graduation. He hits on our moms. It's really a whole thing. But listen, being home can be tricky. On one hand, I'm very grateful I have a place to stay, believe me. My parents work all day, we watch Jeopardy, R.I.P. But overall, it's hard to complain too much. We're basically like the prison cooking scene in Goodfellas, except I don't have Ray Liotta's tracksuit confidence. By the way, Ray Liotta's tracksuit confidence, incredible name for an improv team. Anyway, it's a real shame that Ray Liotta looks so good in that picture because now he kind of looks like Paulie Walnut's got a facelift in Whoville. On the other hand, depending on the day of the week, my brain is kind of a nightmare. My life feels like there's very little forward progress, momentum, enthusiasm. I really just feel like I'm missing the feelings of excitement that keep life interesting. And if I'm being really honest, I'm sad like all the time. Right now I'm listening to Anthony Bourdain on audiobook to feel uplifted. I gotta say though, I really do love audiobooks because for the first time in my life, I can be playing video games with my friends, and if somebody walks in, I can be like, hey, can't you see that I'm reading? But it's hard. I talk to 3 people, and that's really sort of all I can handle. Last weekend, my friend very casually asked me, hey, what time did you get up today? And my gut reaction was, if I had to choose between answering that question honestly and posting my own nude on Facebook, I'd get out the ring light. It was 1 p.m. So it's a struggle to feel stuck. I have a day job where I work from home, and I'm grateful for, and I enjoy it. But I wouldn't say it's my creative passion. I basically wake up every day and I can't decide if I need the Judd Apatow masterclass or drugs or both. And the hardest part, and I think a lot more people besides me are struggling with this too, is that I feel completely stuck and I feel like one of the lucky people, and that's a really tricky thing to balance. Right now my life feels like I'm eating a rice cake, which we all know sucks. But a lot of people in the world, they're eating urinal cakes. And listen, just ask any hungry 8-year-old who wanders into their elementary school bathroom during lunch. Urinal cakes taste worse. So, the question is, how can I feel both grateful for what I have and feel sad about the stuff that I'm missing? Now, I'm by no means an expert. I took one therapy class in college, which technically means I'm 1/36th a therapist. But one psychologist we learned about was named Albert Ellis. No, that's Sean Ellis, Jets All-Pro defensive end from the mid-2000s. No, and that's Ellis Island, from the movie Hitch and Immigration, I guess. There he is, my boy, Albert Ellis. His whole theory of talk therapy was that you don't feel bad about what you feel bad about. You feel bad for feeling bad about the thing you feel bad about. It's like a sadness within a sadness, like a sadness inception, a sadception. So Ellis's theory on me and my SIPS diagnosis would be that I don't really feel bad about feeling stuck personally and creatively. He would argue that I feel sad because I'm experiencing sadness, but I'm avoiding it because I don't think I deserve to feel that way. So, if I'm being honest, my hope is that if you're watching this while pooping, maybe you'll be able to relate in some way. Perhaps you're like me, and you're not letting yourself be sad. And it's building up, so you're walking around a little resentful, a little stressed, because that's how I feel all the time. I'm like a guy in Midtown with a dying iPhone. I need an outlet. Which brings me to missing comedy. When stand-up ended last March, I didn't just lose my friends and my community. I lost the opportunity to share. Every night I was doing the adult version of show and tell, and now it feels like we all live in a quiet place. What I loved so much about writing and performing stand-up every night was that it felt cumulative. Anything that's ever happened to me, good, bad, traumatic, boring, exciting, whatever, it could be brought up on stage with me. Sometimes it was improvised or it was crowd work. Other times it was an idea that was written and honed in one of my notebooks. That's in my password journal. When I was a kid, I didn't give a shit about my sister's diary until she put it in one of those guys. Then it became my Bellagio, my Mirage, and my MGM Grand. Which is to say, I hired Casey Affleck to help me break into it. He was really into that. So for now, without my outlet and my independence, I'm turning to this show because I have things to say and I need a place to say them. I'll start by disclosing to you all, my partners, that I've tested positive for SIPS. And maybe by saying it out loud and sharing, you can relate. Perhaps now after pooping, you'll feel a little bit lighter in more ways than one. So if you're one of my 18 viewers on IGTV, I'll say this. Michael J. Fox said on Mark Maron that gratitude makes optimism possible. And I really hope he's right. Because if he's not, I'm in trouble. Because right now, I don't really have any other solution except to be grateful for when I can, create stuff that I like, and make jokes about Ray Liotta. I mean, come on, facelift in Whoville? That one was pretty good. So, this is Gabe time. I hope it made your bathroom break a little bit more enjoyable. Now, to close us off, it wouldn't be a talk show unless we had a guest. He's a very funny comedian and writer, originally from Kentucky. Please welcome Raanan Hershberg. Hey Raanan, you were recently on the Late Late Show with James Corden, and now you're on my late night show, Gabe Time. Can you tell me how the two shows compare?
I'd say one of the big crucial differences is that this is not a late night show. This is just you with a camera phone. So that's the big difference, that this is not the thing you think it is.
I think you're breaking up with us, Raanan. What was that?
That's weird. You're coming clear on my end. Wait, are you cutting me off? I can't believe I put on pants for this.
Well, that's all the time we have. My mom's making dinner. My favorite, the $5 box from Taco Bell. Thanks so much, Raanan. Gary behind the camera. Please share this, like it, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and remember, don't take any shit today. You already did that. Anna de Armas, check your DMs.